Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to season four, episode number five of the P.W.P Sessions podcast. I'm your host, Noelle Figueroa. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Tonight's guest is a returning guest to the podcast, Miss Cynthia Jacob, aka Crimson Red. So happy to have her back and get an update on all the things happening with her since our last conversation. Thank you all for tuning in. So for those of you that are not familiar with this podcast, the P.W.P Sessions or the Pause for Purpose Sessions podcast is a podcast that I created where I interview new or established authors of poetry, rappers or MCs, featuring a performance of their work along with an audience Q&A session. I'm your host, Noelle Figueroa. I am a poet, author, blogger, workshop facilitator, and event host, and I am the creator of the P.W.P Sessions podcast. Tonight's guest is Crimson Red, and this is her bio. Cynthia JB, aka Crimson Red, is a poet and author who has hosted their own night of poetry at their local church, been to several venues for open mics, such as the New Eurekan Poets Cafe, Mike Geffen's Spoken Word, The Stratosphere, and during COVID, virtual open mics with Last Rites, hosted by Eric Crow Draven, and yours truly, Noelle Figueroa. She was introduced to spoken word by her friend and muse Abike. When they attended the same church, she set up a workshop on poetry and spoken word where she signed up and found it to be the best experience, both in excitement and fulfillment as she performed. She learned a lot from Abike as she was an awesome teacher. Although still working on pieces for her first poetry book, she has authored and published her first ebook, Dear Daddy, a personal story outside of poetry. She also started a podcast related to her poetic journey called Crimson Red Speaks. Upward and onward, she continues to grow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Crimson Red. Hey, welcome back, sister. Good evening. Good to see you. How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. How you doing? Glad to have you back. How's everything?
Everything is great. I'm glad to have my voice back actually.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, glad to see you. That you're feeling a lot better. Bless God
Yes,
for that. Glad you're
thank
feeling
you.
well. So to get people up to speed with who you are, for those that might be seeing you tonight for the first time, who is Crimson Red? How would you describe yourself or define yourself?
Well, I would define her as a quiet warrior, fire personified, a phoenix through spoken word. My ability or her ability to bring forth what's in her heart and in her being is what represents who she is.
Excellent, excellent. Um, Now, as you mentioned in your bio, you got kind of introduced to poetry through a BK. Can you describe that first interaction or introduction to poetry at that time?
Yeah, actually, I can. I believe there was some event or something that we were hosting at the place of ministry that I am in, and I did a very short piece. And after I did the piece, she said, "You know, you have the makings of a poet." And I'm looking to start a poetry workshop, and I would like for you to be a part of it.
Excellent, excellent. Now, what was that experience like for you as far as like, getting the willingness to share your work, because some people sometimes, they have the desire to write poetry, but when it comes to sharing it, they prefer to keep it to themselves, for various different reasons. Um, what was your decision or desire? What would you say your desire was to share your poetry publicly?
I would have to say that it was basically for me coming out of my shell. Um, for the most part, I'm a pretty quiet person, laid back in the cut, so to speak. I like to, watch what's going on. Um, that's just my basic, but it was just something said, you know what, I need to try to come out of this shell. I do like to write, and and I enjoy releasing, whatever's going on inside of me at the time, mental challenges or traumatic battles or things like that. So as I started writing those things out, I found I got a sense of relief and release. So I said, you know what, maybe it could be something where I can share my feelings with the public. And maybe it might be something that can touch someone else's, journey or whatever it is that they're going through.
Excellent, excellent. Now I'm very excited about your announcement of, of the of your first poetry book in progress. Can you share with us what this book is all about and what type of poetry will be in it?
Well, it's still a work in progress, but my objective is basically to start where, we deal with traumatic situations and circumstances, and how it transcends to resilience and overcoming and finding, your voice in going through the challenges and things that one goes through. So I've been working a lot on those pieces, reworking some stuff actually. Doing that a lot of it. For me, poetry is self healing, and being able to write out what's going on in me at the time that I'm in a particular state of mind, and then looking at it and working it and reworking it and putting it in a way that there's always a resilient spin on it. Well, if I can do this, then I can. If I can do this, and someone else can say I can figure out how I'm gonna do this myself too.
Excellent, excellent. And would you say like for your poetry overall that these are the general kinds of themes that you deal with in your writing?
Yeah, being that everybody has challenges, and how you manifest those challenges, it varies from personality to personality. Some write, some do art, some find whatever those avenues are for themselves. For me, being able to write out my traumatic experiences and showing the steps of how I have come through them, and showing it that there's strength in going through these things, that anybody, as long as you allow yourself the opportunity, giving yourself some grace and giving yourself um, some forgiveness, allowing yourself to heal through things, you tend to find out who you are as an individual, and that in turn can translate into poetic format. And for me, it translates into poetic format. It allows me to become a stronger individual.
Excellent, excellent. Now, when you're tackling these themes, like overall, how important is it to you that when you're tackling these subjects of your choice, that you're representing yourself in your totality?
Oh, it's for me. It's very important, in the sense that I personally get a chance to express what's in me. My purpose, if you will, is more or less not necessarily for me, but for someone else. Um, I use the metaphor of running a race, the 4x100s. Each party in the 4x100s is part of the larger chain. So each person's responsibility connects to the next person. That being said, when I go in the process of writing my pieces, in whatever the mindset or framework I am in at that time, it is first, I am the lead, so I'm going to talk, about what that is for me, and then it is my responsibility to find the transition of how it will impact someone else who takes the opportunity to look at what I put down.
Right, right, definitely, definitely. Now, in terms of your faith, you are born again. For those that and for clarity, that those that don't know, Cynthia is a born again Christian, and how would you say your faith plays a role in what you write and how you write?
Wow. It's all encompassing, it's in everything. Um, in order for me to write what I write, or even to do the things that I do, I must understand that there's something higher than me. I did not arrive in my journeys of my life or what have you by my own hand. Nothing I create is because it's a gift from God. He endows me with the gifts and callings and things that I will take them and utilize them in a way that I can be the living example or living testimony of what he can do if you allow him to work through you.
Mm. Definitely, definitely. And what has been the response to your poetry overall? Like what are some of the comments or responses have you received in regards to your work?
Oh, for the most part, for those who know of me, one way, they like, wow, I didn't know you go in like that. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I let that side out. I didn't know you have very, prolific and very impactful, influential with what you write. Um, Most I've been getting is, keep going, keep going. So that's inspiring to me, and that at the end of the day is really what I really look for, to be an inspiration to others that you can find your voice. Because and everybody has a voice. They have something to say. And if you can find that mechanism that brings that out of you, by all means, do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And touching on that, right? Given all the drama that's going on, with folk banning books and, trying to ban what words you can say or can't say, all of that. With all of that going on right now, how important is it to you that you use your voice to speak on what you feel needs to be spoken on through your writing?
Okay, I'm so glad that you asked that, because now the militant side of me comes out. It is tantamount. It is like air
Mhm.
that, knowing the foundation and structure of how this place we call United States of America came into being, we have to have that same force. Speak about what you do not like. The fact that we still have the ability right now, because we understand it's a fight against our way of living with a person who's in this position of high authority.
Mhm.
Uh, we can talk about it. We can express our like, our dislike, our good and our bad, but as a continuing learning and growing wordsmith, it's important. It is my duty, it is my obligation, it is my responsibility to speak to the powers that are trying to silence voice. The First Amendment is the freedom of speech. So, that being said, I'm going to stand on that virtue. I'm going to stand on that tenet. And as long as you have people out there that are looking to silence that which allows people to express who they are, express what they like, what they don't like, it's just be able to express. I'm going to be one of the many. I'm going to put out there how I feel and express it in the way I express it. My tool is a pen and paper. and my thoughts. And I will continue to put it down on paper. I will continue to push it out there. I will continue to put it out there because it is in we have power in numbers. The more of those of us who write their words on paper and express it out in public, it is to catch the fire of those so they can understand your voice and what you say matters.
Absolutely. I'm in full agreement with that because there is no doubt that there is a campaign to erase to erase history, to erase our voices, and to erase different points of view. But as you said, we have to be diligent in standing on who we are and making sure that we're very vocal about our experiences because it's the legacy that we leave behind with our words that's gonna be left for the next generation that comes after us. We have a certain responsibility to be vocal about, not just what's going on around us, but our own personal life experiences that we encounter on a daily basis. Like Nina Simone said, it's an artist's duty to reflect the time. So we have a responsibility to reflect the times in our personal life as well as in the lives in the lives around us and out and our the other outside experiences in the world, things of that nature. So I'm in full agreement with that. We have to we have to keep putting in the work, in knowing who we are, what we stand for, and have the understanding that what we have to say matters, regardless of who we are or where we're from or what have you, our voice matters and we can't allow anyone or anything to diminish our voice.
Absolutely. I'm in firm agreement with that. What did I say, 2 years or so ago, we had something called Black Lives Matter.
Hmm.
Okay. Words and how we express matter. We are, I dare say, we are obligated
Hmm.
to speak to whatever the dynamic or thing is, whether it's a political thing, whether it's mental thing, whether it's negative connotations, positive connotations, whatever that is in that moment in time, we must speak to it. I'm finding that the more that I speak with through my writing, the more I become very aware that we who have chosen the poetic arena, wordsmith arena, we are on the shoulders of the poetic ancestors, and they have a platform upon which we can tweak and adjust, adapt, assimilate, whatever we need to do to get our message out there, which at the end of the day, it's about love. It's about helping your fellow man. As a practicing devout Christian, that is one of our tenets we breathe by. You don't just live it, we breathe it. We have to be about it. You know, it never, it said, love covers a multitude.
Hmm.
Never said that was going to be easy, but it says it's going to be true. And word format is, to me, the truest weapon that one has, writing and speaking and putting it out there. Because when we are gone, somebody's going to pick up a book you wrote, or somebody's going to read a manuscript that was put in the places where this is in Washington, where you send copyright office. Somebody's going to pick up what you have put down, and they're going to pick up the essence of what you put there. And it should be impactful enough where you would want to go with what was put down. We have some great ancestors whose works are resonating even today. Some of them 40, 50, 100 plus years before we were even born. And if we pick up certain manuscripts, certain words, and read them and apply them, they usually bring good vibe.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I just want to take a moment to point out to our audience that if you look in the chat, Cynthia has posted the links to her podcast as well as to her book, Dear Daddy. So be sure to check those out, ladies and gentlemen. Now, before we dive into your Dear Daddy project, in terms of your poetry, are there certain subjects that you like writing about more than others, or do you find yourself just writing, whatever it is you're feeling at a particular moment?
Well, if I was to put a category, if you will, on what it is that I write about, it would be mainly um, trauma and the healing process. Um, Everybody goes through degrees of challenges. They call them traumas. I call them challenges because those challenges build character. They will take you down to your lowest low, but then you find your real self out of all of the muck and the mire, and you come up to your highest highs. Um, in the last session that you and I shared, I was heavy into traumatic experiences. So my pieces at that time were very trauma laden, because it was for me a personal thing to get out what was in the mind. Sometimes if you don't take an opportunity to find a way to release the mind, it can cause a lot of damage, unforeseen, and in many instances seen. As you can, if you walk the streets, you can see that in effect with people doing and being maybe not of themselves or
Yeah.
what they used to be, but they are in what they are now in the present. Um, I was, as I told you, when we would, like I said, we spoke 2 years ago. Um, I'm in the 59th year of my journey. When I started this journey, at 50. I made this my decade of healing, of self-healing, self-awareness, self-everything. So in that process of time, I've become a spoken word artist because the more I wrote, with the encouragement of yourself and a number of my heavy hitting poet friends, being free, feeling that confidence and a surety to speak what I know and not be afraid about it, because our place is a wonderful environment to release yourself. No judgments from what I have been experiencing in this walk in poetry and wordsmith. Um, it gives back as it gives out. It gives you a safe space. You get back peace of mind and spirit. And now that I'm coming to the close, because in a week I'll be hitting the big 6-0. I know.
That's God. That's God. Beautiful,
six
beautiful.
zero, honey. Yes. So I know that this journey has truly been a blessing to me. As those who have taken the opportunity to get my book, or even took a minute to tap into my podcast, um, you get to see where it started and where I'm going. And I've got a lot of positive feedback on the journey. And I'm so humbled, and I'm so beautiful. I'm not beautiful, but I am overwhelmed with humility about the positive feedback I've been getting on my journey. I did not know when I started this at 50 that I would wind up here. I had no idea where I would wind up. What I did know is that I did need an outlet to heal. You know, there's, I say this with all sincerity. However, you have to go about getting that healing, however that looks for you, if you feel you need that, please. There are so many different avenues out there that one can get into. Find out what that is for yourself, and do not be afraid to help you, because you help you, you in turn help others.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm in full agreement with that. I always seen, writing, poetry, well, writing in general can be therapy, but when it comes to us poets, it definitely can be therapeutic because you have the freedom to explore different emotions and different experiences. And it is a way to, to help process, whatever it is you're going through. And at the same time, it could be a valuable resource, for others when they read it, because they could be going through the same thing. So in turn, while you're helping yourself, you're helping others at the same time.
Yeah, and I concur with you on that. I think sometimes some of the for me the thing that would make me uncomfortable, not necessarily afraid, but uncomfortable because it's unfamiliar ground, is putting my work out there, either me speaking it or writing it. In this case, with my book, that's outside of the thing that I do as my passion. Um, it is just an amazing scenario that when I put out what I did, which I put out on the 31st of 2024,
Mhm.
and I had an opportunity to actually sit with the knowledge that I am now an author. And I held that to myself until 2025 so that I could be good with it, because it like you said, writing is so therapeutic. It opens the door, it closes the door to some things,
Right.
but opens the door to possibility, in probability, you know. And where I am at this stage now, on the apex of another ability to a new decade, if you will, sky's the limit. I feel that freedom. I feel that confidence. I feel that it's okay. I'm okay, and it's okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now let's dive into your Dear Daddy project. Even though it's not poetry, but first off, congratulations. It's an awesome accomplishment.
Thank you.
Um, can you tell our audience what exactly Dear Daddy is all about?
Well, Dear Daddy is a letter that I had been working on for a good number of years. My I had my is dealing concerning my relationship with my father, um, challenges, and as I was going through, I said I didn't decide to write it; it chose to be written. So its purpose was to, because my father's no longer here. And at the time of his living, I didn't feel the strength or fortitude excuse me, fortitude to tell him while he was on the planet. But in course of time, as I said, this 50-year journey was self-healing, self-awareness, and a lot of things. as I was becoming more confident, it was time for me to write this book. It was time for me to release it out of my being. Again, beautiful thing about poetry. You get to release a lot of stuff off your being. Whether or not, someone comes to it, takes it, uses it, don't use it, whatever, you get to be released. So this was a release of explaining the dynamics between me and him and the ultimate resilience of what I chose to do and deal with.
Excellent, excellent. And on that note, I believe that provides the perfect segue into our next segment of this episode, because it's time, ladies and gentlemen, for Miss Crimson Red to take the mic. Now, at this time, you are free to do up to 5 poems of your choice, to give the audience an idea of who you are and what your writing style is all about, especially those that may not be, especially those that may be witnessing you tonight for the first time. So at this time, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Being that March is Women's Month, I have a piece that I've constructed for the beautiful queens of this planet. Woman of origin, created from the rib of Adam, sculpted by his hands, the master craftsman of all, the blueprint of complexity. Only his hands would fashion that rib into an exquisite living masterpiece. Oh, what a gift. A reflective work, a beautifully mirrored image, graciously refined, bone and flesh presented. Woman. My next piece is somewhat about myself. I am an amputee by birth. Congenital birth defects was what had me as I am. So I enjoy giving out bits of information in how I handle my walk in the world of amputeeism. So this piece is called As I Hop. As I hop at breakneck speed, everything flies by as fast as can be seen. Aerodynamically feeling the breeze while seizing the moment. Rapidity. Only to stop on a dime and shimmy my way through the next destination of playing peekaboo. Oh, what fun this is. Let's do it again. Rinse and repeat. As I hop further with decreasing speed, I start seeing the divots and potholes, brokenness strewn everywhere across this roadway of life. My knee begins to ache as too my leg muscles begin to quake. Not actually sure I will make it through. Now, where's that prosthetic when I need it? Oh, yeah, it's in the shop getting upgraded. So I continue on now in full-blown pain, needing to stop this insane hop running. My reality is that my mind is willing, but my body is weak. I need that leg to carry me through to the end of the road. A quick piece, a militant snippet. This is in memorial to my sister Verna. Stand up straight. Now align your mind. Your steps are so ordered. Now move. A memory piece. I remember pickled pig's feet, pig's tails, pig's ears for $1. I remember penny candy, 2 for a penny. 5 cents was great, but 10 cents was divine. And 25 cents, child, that was OD glorious. I remember big pretzels, big knish, big chili dogs, big kraut dogs, big ketchup, big hot dogs, big. So why in this 21st century, small edible foods and everything else cost big money? Could starvation be the goal to control gluttony? Or could it be to see how long it would take to create chaos and clamor amongst us? Or are they the memories of caring for a community's unity made stagnant to die? Yes, I remember. You could think and reason, concluding answers that create dialogue. I remember the embers in one center sparking a revolution for solutions to do and think anew. Now, there's just surrendering to the tendencies of control freaks who remember nothing but their self-indulgences. Come to think of it, I don't want to remember anymore. Sitting with my thoughts. Even now, in sitting with my thoughts, I am released from the confines of my mental and physical self to experience in technicolor the revealed moments of my true essence, ever searching for that tonal resonance of the heavenward harmony. Its sounds are radiant and vibrant against the backdrop of infinity, beckoning me to come back and sit a spell, to converse symphonically, spreading, knowing the ledge as a legendary afterthought, assured that Daddy God speaking to me in joyous tones, expressing how much he loves me and cares how I embrace my journey back to him. I am Crimson Red. Thank you.
Yes, yes, ladies and gentlemen, excellent selections by the one and only Crimson Red. Thank you so much for sharing those powerful pieces. That was excellent.
Thank you.
Now, at this time, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to shift gears again to the next segment. At this time, we're going to be doing an audience Q&A. So at this time, if there's anyone in the audience right now that has a question or comment or for Crimson Red, feel free to unmute yourself and give your question or comment.
May I jump in before?
Yeah,
I'm
yes,
sorry.
you may. Hey, Lady Farley, how you doing?
Blessed
That's
and good. How are you, Brother Noel?
Doing all right?
that's my muse.
Good. Good to see you both. I'm on the road, so sorry if it sounds like I'm yelling. But one thing I'm taking away from this, because my phone's about to die, I've been out all day, but the many things, but the one thing at the top of the top of the top of the top of the list that I've gotten tonight is that whether your steps are unsteady, whether your steps are lopsided, whether your steps are heavy or hesitant, they're ordered, and go on and take your steps. Thank you for that.
Amen, amen.
Oh,
Excellent. Excellent.
those are both my peoples.
Awesome. Yes, thanks for that, Lady Farley. Thank you, thank you.
Oh, yes, 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 yes.
Excellent. Definite facts for sure. Anyone else would like to share a question or a comment?
Yes. How you doing, Noel?
Hey, Brother Patrick, how you doing, man?
I am awesome. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you, thank you.
Uh, Obviously, I have the pleasure of knowing Miss Crimson Red, her alter ego, but I do have a question for Crimson Red.
Mhm.
Um, what stokes the fire to get you to start delving into your inner peace?
First and foremost, so thank you for that question. First and foremost, it's allowing God eminence to, unlock the ugliness or the challenges or whatever it is that I am dealing with at the time, unlocking it so that I can look at it with a clarity, so that way when I get my pen to paper, the objective is the solution to the situation.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for that question, bro. Much appreciated. Anyone else like to give a question or a comment?
I just want to say thank you. You're such a sweet, kind, loving, nurturing person. I am so proud of you and your talents, and you're using them very wisely. I'm so happy for you.
Oh, thank you so much, baby. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
awesome. Excellent. Thank you for that
you.
question. Thank you
Yes,
for that, Carla.
you know how we answer it, Noel. To God be the glory.
Mhm. Awesome, awesome. Anyone else with a question or a comment? Well, in the meantime, if you could collaborate, this was probably asked in your last interview, but
Okay.
if you could collaborate with anyone, concerning your poetry, living or deceased, who would it be and why?
Wow. Whew. That's a lot. That's a large list. You got a lot of ancestors. But if there would be anybody, it would be the great laureate um, Maya Angelou. Um, as I've gone through my pieces, I aspire to bring that emulation as she does. Now, she's literally, when she was alive, walking wisdom. She knew how to take the things of adversity, things of challenge, the real dark stuff that can say, because if we know her story, and I know why the cage bird sings, she was able to take that and turn it into such a powerful healing tool that, it is my desire to grow to becoming that type of spirit.
Awesome. Yeah, Mother Maya. You can't talk about poetry without mentioning Mother Maya Angelou. I mean, that she was a force to be reckoned with, without question.
Without question,
Without question.
hands down.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, when all is said and done, what would you hope to accomplish with your work?
That people who come across my work, whether they actually hearing me as I'm doing in this type of genre venue or physical venues, that they come away with upliftment and come away with uh, courage to not be afraid to speak out with it for yourself or against those that be, or whatever it is in their world or their journey that needs to have that type of fire put to it.
Definitely, definitely. Now, we got a question in the chat from Lori. She says, or she asks, what type of headspace do you be in when writing your pieces?
Wow. Because we know that the mind is a vast land in the body itself. So being that I do my best writing in the early mornings, which is about 3, 4 in the morning, or late in the evening between 12 and 3 or 2. I'm in a place of quiet where I allow whatever is in my head to come above my being, so that I'm actually in the astral level. I mean, I'm getting that kind of way, but I'm in that level where I can look at what this is and then ask God, how do I write this? Sometimes it can be, depending on the level of intensity, I'll write out of response or reactionary writing. Most times I want to hear how he wants to direct it, because it's about, um, as devout as I am in my Christian walk, it's about taking my story and putting it in a way that can show the light of God.
Mhm.
Not
Absolutely.
being, not being preachy, but I'm a living example of what God does.
Yeah, and essentially that's all we can strive to be at the end of the day, be an example of what God wants us to be,
Be
to
that
the
light.
best of our ability. Yeah, exactly.
Be the light.
Exactly. Being a light, without a doubt. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, before we close out, there is time for one more question. Does anyone else want to give a question or a comment? You can also put it in the chat, or feel free to unmute yourself if you like. You're definitely getting a lot of love in the chat, Cynthia.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you so much. I'm humbled and I'm really honored. Thank you so much.
Yes, and you got a special shout out from Utah too. Those are my cousins. Thank you all for tuning in. Much appreciated.
Honored. Thank
Getting love
you.
out of state. Awesome, awesome.
Out of state. Amen.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, y'all. So before we close out, Cynthia, can you share with everyone where you can be found on social media?
Yes, I can be found on Facebook. I can be found. Well, Facebook is Crimson Red Says, but you have to get to there. You'd have to go through my personal page, which is Cynthia JB. I am on Instagram under Crimson Red 593. I am, where is it, Jesus? And I forgot to write it down. I'm in another area that if you go to that area, it links you to everything. You can find me also on Spotify with my podcast, Crimson Red Speaks.
Mhm.
Okay. There are other, venues that are going to be coming, but those are the main ones right now that you can get a hold of Madame.
Excellent, excellent. And for everybody's reference, I reposted those links to her Spotify for her podcast as well as for her book, Dear Daddy. And again, congratulations on those endeavors. Those are awesome accomplishments.
Thank you. And I'd also like to take the moment and thank those who have taken the opportunity to support me in this, my very first book. I enjoy your comments. They really uplift my spirit. And I thank you so much. Really, I really, really do. It inspires me to keep my creative written juices flowing. I'm working on it. It's inspiring me. I'm working on this book. I got, people that are helping me in that respect. And like I said, I'm looking forward to that next journey in that arena of authorship.
Absolutely. And before we close out, do you have any other projects or any events that you would like to announce?
Wow. Not at this present time, other than I'm getting ready to celebrate 60 years of the birthday.
Yes, yes.
That's my big
Beautiful.
event, baby. This is why I'm wearing purple. Usually I wear my Monica colors
Right, right.
because 60 is purple.
Mm-hmm.
I'm repping
Awesome.
purple, baby.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, we all bless God for you and looking forward to celebrating your 60th year. Praise God. Looking forward to
Praise
that.
God. Yes, to God be the glory.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I gotta say this too. I have another friend of mine
Mhm.
who's helping me to I'm preparing. I've been preparing for some time, but I am going to be writing a book on me that my friend who does what she does is going to eventually look to put it into something in the arena of theater. But that's a work in progress still. But as soon as that comes to bear, I will be back to let you know.
Excellent, excellent, awesome. So as we close out, there's one more thing I like to do. As I share my screen, first and foremost, I like to say thank you, Crimson Red. Thank you so much for returning for your second appearance on the P.W.P Sessions podcast. So glad to have you back, and I'm glad to hear all the things that you have accomplished since our last conversation. And I wish you all the best with everything that you have planned, coming up in the future. Coming up next, I'm excited for the next episode, episode 6, having another poet returning to the P.W.P Sessions podcast, poet and author Mega Sood. She'll be joining me on Monday, April 14th, 2025 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, so save that date, and also save the date. I'm currently planning, yours truly is planning their 50th birthday celebration for Saturday, April 19th, 2025 at 4 p.m. More details about these events are coming up, so stay tuned for the details as plans are finalized. And other events are to be determined and will be announced as they are prepared as well. Uh, this episode will be uploaded to the Poets with Purpose YouTube channel within the hour or so, so be on the lookout for that so you can freely share with your social media contacts. Um, and as a reminder, Poets with Purpose is now online. We now have a website. If you go to poetswithpurpose.wordpress.com, if you haven't already, be sure to just subscribe to stay in the loop with all event announcements and all poetic happenings related to Poets with Purpose. Um, all the flyers and logos for Poets with Purpose and the P.W.P Sessions podcast were designed by the awesome team at Eclipse Graphics. You can find them online at eclipsegraphicsny.com, or you can go to their Instagram page at signed Eclipse Graphics NY to see samples of their work and to contact them if you need to utilize them for your own personal projects. And lastly, for those of you that would like to make a donation, you can do so through PayPal, Tap Media Man, Cash App, $Anointed Pen, or through Zelle utilizing my phone number, 646-372-6230. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes season 4, episode number 5. I thank you all so much for joining me tonight. Thank you, Crimson Red, for returning. I wish you all the best. Have a good night and God bless. Thank you.